Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, if I get started like always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakahakudash. Double honors to our apostles, our elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach on sound doctrine. Peace, love, and salutation to y'all. Come out there doing work with truth and sincerity. On the brothers of Rayala down here at the JMS Virginia camp, back with another lesson through the spirit of Baba Ba'ashem Yahushai. And pretty much this lesson, I didn't have a topic, just wanted to go through the spirit and, thought of the book of James. I was going to read James, the first chapter, or, many verses in James, the first chapter. And I pray and hope this lesson will be edifying. All right. This is James chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, James, a servant of Yahweh and of the Lord, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greetings, right? The 12 tribes scattered abroad. When you go into the word scattered, the Greek word is diaspora, which I'll show you. Yep. The Greek word for scattered, right, is diaspora, which means a scattered dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, right? Foreign nations, which happens to be who? The Gentiles, right? And it also says of Christians scattered among the Gentiles, which we know the Christians are the Israelites, all right? So that's just a quick little understanding of that, all right? And that's one of the scriptures that we use to prove, okay, that the Gentiles and the Greeks and so on and so forth that it speaks about in the New Testament and Apostle Paul's writings is speaking about the children of Yasher Allah, because even in the book of John, the 7th chapter, around the 35th through the 38th verse, speaks about two particular types of Gentiles. The Gentiles, the regular Gentiles, that's the heathen nations, and then you have the Gentiles where Yahweh Shai or one of the disciples have mentioned the dispersed Gentiles, right, which is a key indicator letting you know that that's speaking about the Israelites, all right? But continuing on in verse 2, it says, my brethren, right? Who's the brethren? The brethren is the Israelites, okay? James was a Israelite. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the same James that was the brother of Yahweh Shai, right? It says James, it says son of Zebedee, an apostle, and brother Apostle John, commonly called James, the greater or elder, slain by Herod. And it also says James, the half-brother of Hamashiach, right? So I believe this James was the brother of Hamashiach, if I'm not mistaken. God, Salakia. Yeah, because you had James and John, right, which was the two brothers, the sons of Zebedee, right? But, going back to James, the 2nd chapter, it says, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, right? And what is temptations? Let's go into that. Temptations, it says parasmos, it says an experiment, an attempt, trial proving, the trial made of you by my bodily condition, since the condition served to test the love of the Galatians towards Paul, the trials of man's fidelity, integrity, virtue, and constancy. Look at the word fidelity. It says faithfulness to a person, cause, or belief, demonstrated by continuing loyalty and support, right? So we all have to be tried or put through those temptations because the Lord is pretty much trying our fidelity, our integrity, and our virtue, all right? It also says an enticement to sin, temptation, whether arising from the desires or from the outward circumstances, right? It says of the temptation by which the devil sought to divert Yahweh the Messiah from his divine errand. Yeah, because temptation is something that, you crave after, right? So if you're craving after something, you can be tempted with the things that your flesh craves or wants, okay? And by that, if you don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua upon you, that faith, that integrity, that fidelity, if you don't have those things, you're going to easily be enticed to sin. Just like how the woman, in the garden was enticed to sin, Just like how Adam was enticed to sin, right? Just like how If you can receive it, Solomon was enticed, by the women and so on and so forth. Many men have been enticed, throughout the scriptures. But hey, at the end of the day, okay, you also had great men that what? Had fidelity, had integrity. So for the Lord to try your reins and your heart to see if your faith is genuine, you're going to be tried, okay, with these fleshly desires, especially here in Babylon the Great, because we've been deprived, all right, from the things that are meant for us to have. Case in point, women, resources, wealth, our heritage, right? Food, raiment, as in clothes, right? Houses and things of that nature. Our children, right? Money, gold, silver, all those different things we have been deprived of, right? So we can easily be tempted by those things, and that's why the Lord told us in the book of Matthew to store up our treasures in heaven. All the things that we crave and desire after, amen, we're supposed to put those up into heaven. We're supposed to store the things that we truly want in heaven, because the things that we attain on this side, okay, is only temporarily. We're not going to be able to keep these possessions and these tangible items forever. And this is why we have to put our trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because if we don't, then we get a hold, or we be too tied into these possessions that we have, like our children, our jobs, and so on and so forth. That can easily pull us away from our Lord and cause us to fall out of the truth and cause us to choose them over the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshai within these latter days, pursuant to what? The hour of temptation, which you're going to be faced with the MOTB. You're going to be faced with death and so on and so forth. And if you're not willing to choose Yahweh Shem Yahshai, the Lord is going to use those things that that your heart or your flesh craves after, all right? And that's ultimately going to be the end of you. All right, that's going to be your destruction, because you couldn't, have that discipline, okay, to endure those temptations. Because hey, the Lord, hey, like it says in 1 Corinthians 10, He is not going to tempt you above things that you are not able. So everything that we're tempted of, and you may seem that it's really hard, you have to remember, hey, the Lord is allowing that to happen to test your faith. So you have to pray to the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua to find a way to escape, because there's always a way. There's always a way to escape, speaking to myself first and foremost, right? So going back, it says, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations. Because why? It's a part of the battle. It's the condition of the battle. You're going to be fighting for this thing. It's not a cakewalk, right? This isn't something. These are the conditions of the battle. These are the conditions of the men of the Lord. You have to fall into diverse temptations, man. Sirach 2, right? It says verse 3, knowing this, which means what? You acknowledging it. You're knowing that you have to go through this, right? Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, right? And I'm going to read it in NLT. It says, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow, right? So these is room and opportunity to grow, okay, and strengthen your faith, okay, and your trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. When you are put into those diverse temptations, you're knowing that it's happening for a reason. It's not done in vain. It's done for a particular purpose, and that's for you to grow. Okay, this truth is all about growing, right? And it says, verse 4, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire and want nothing, right? So let me read it in the LT. It says, so let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. Meaning that what? You're going to be, content. You're going to be content when you're serving the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua, because you know that, hey, your spirit is growing, your faith is growing, all these, beautiful things pertaining to the fruits of the spirit. When all those things grow and it's fully developed, hey, you're not going to want to need or feel like it's just I'm going to die. How people, I don't want to, bring that as an example, but when you have certain individuals that's stuck on drugs, they feel like they gotta have it. Gotta have it. Or like kids, when they see candy, had candy a couple times, they gotta have it, and they don't know how to control themselves, right? But when you allow that patience, you allow that suffering and temptations, and you go through that trial, you're developing your spirit to overcome those things that that you may encounter in Jacob's trouble, right? So you're gonna realize, I don't need to eat, man. I'm good. There's a point in time where you start to fast more, and it's just like, man, you don't even crave food anymore. You don't even have those cravings or those sugar rushes or those sweet tooths and things of that nature, right? Because what you're working, you're building yourself up, right? You're letting patience have that perfect work. Which when you go into patience, it means to suffer, right? And it says verse 5, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given unto him. And it says in the NLT, if you need wisdom, ask our generous power, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. Right, man. Pray for wisdom. Pray for discernment. Pray for spiritual understanding. Pray for faith. Pray for suffering and those things, because that is going to be all the things that you need to make you whole and complete within Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It says verse 6, let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavers is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. Right. So with that being said, you're not supposed to be lucky. You're not supposed to be doubting or losing hope. No, you're supposed to trust the Lord, man. All right, when you ask in these things, man. All right, be confident, be bold in when you ask in the Lord, man. And best believe, be willing to go through whatever trial and tribulation you need to go to obtain or to for your prayers to be answered. Right? And it says verse 7, for let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Right? So you can't be double-minded. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or, oh, I don't know if the Lord will do that for me. Hey, man, there's no thing too hard for the Lord, man. Ask and ye shall receive. All right? Don't pray for carnal things. Pray for spiritual things, because that's what matters, man. We're banking off to the spirit, not the carnality of this world. Right? And what I mean by that is, yeah, it's cool to have a nice job. It's cool to have a car and everything like that to handle your responsibilities. But that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is getting understanding of the scriptures, having that strength and that endurance, having that faith to be able to withstand in the days of evil, having that faith, okay, in the spirit to overcome this flesh, okay, to overcome the fear tactic that Esau is going to use, known as what? Death in the MOTB. Okay, praying that your family is safe in that day and that they overcome the temptations or they get saved through you. Those are spiritual, things to pray for, man. And it says, verse 10, but the rich in that he is made low because of the, Salakia. It says, verse 9, let the brother of low degree rejoice that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. Right, we know that the rich gonna, pass away, because the rich of this world, they're wicked. And I say that in Salakia for the Yana. And I say that because what? According to Matthew the 4th chapter, what did Satan tempt Yahweh with? The riches and the glory of this world, right? Of this domain. Saying that what? You have to bow down to Satan to obtain these riches, glory, fame, notoriety, and things of that nature. So the rich man and all that they have that now, they obtained it by wickedness. They didn't obtain it through Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. All right, so they're gonna be made low. All right, and they're gonna pass away just like the fashion of this world. And it says, verse 11, for the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withereth the grass, and the flower thereof falleth, and the grace of the fashion of it perisheth. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Yeah, so pretty much what I said. All right, they're going to pass away. All the things that they, sacrifice for, all the riches that they stored up, all that shit is going to pass away, man. All right, and it's pretty much they did it all in vain, right? And it says, verse 12, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Right, so the Lord made a promise to us. So when you pray for those spiritual, blessings and those spiritual gifts, right, you hope that you obtain those things so you can use it when the times come. Because what the Lord promised us to give us a crown, man. So you want to make sure you're able to endure these days, man. All right. And it says, verse 13, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High, for the Most High cannot be tempted with either. Neither tempteth he any man, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Yeah, so pretty much what I said earlier. Okay, the only way that we can fully be, tempted or drawn away in our own lust is because of the things that we crave after, because we don't have control over our spirit to tell ourselves, no, we don't need it, right? And that's why you got to pray to the Lord for more strength, because we're going to be, Satan knows that you want these things. Satan knows that you may want some women or some more money or whatever it is that your flesh may crave after, right? And you're willing to go to the extreme to do those things, and you shouldn't. You should be like, hey, you know what? If it's meant for me, it's meant for me. If it's not, it's not. You got to be in that so be it spirit, all right? Don't be going above and beyond just to attain these, these tangible things that easily can be taken away from you. Instead, they seek for the things that are above, all right? Like it says in the book of Colossians, right? Because what? If you don't, you're going to be drawn away from what? Your own lust and be enticed, right? So right now you should be focusing on trying to obtain, discipline, consistency, okay? Doing your daily epistles, praying, fasting, reading, studying, right? Doing all these things to build up your faith, man. Because when you do that, what are you doing? You're feeding the spirit, right? And what happens when you feed the spirit? What happens when you do anything that's in regard to repetition, all right? In the time when the time comes, off of all that repetition that you have built up, it's a thing called muscle memory, right? So that's why they say when you're tired, you want to make sure that you're doing a perfect rep. Because what? When you're tired, and when the real test comes, your body is gonna go off of the muscle memory when you're tired, right? Case in point, when you're fighting, if you get all tired, your arms start to come down, right? Now you're no longer protecting yourself. And if you're not disciplined enough to say, hey, keep your arms up while you're tired, when you get into a real fight, your arms coming down, you don't get your ass knocked out. But what? If you keep your arms up, you're gonna be protected, and we have to be protected, okay, to withstand the wiles of the devil. Right, so keep the spiritual armor up, right? And it says, verse 15, then when lust have conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death, right? Romans 6:23, the wages of sin is death, right? So make sure you get a hold of that flesh. Yeah, we're gonna fall and so on and so forth, but keep getting back up and keep striving, keep pushing, and try to be more disciplined as much as possible, man. All right, because we're followers of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And it says, do not err, my brethren, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will beget he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creation. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High. It says, wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity and naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted words which is able to save your souls. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own self. Yeah, so you have to be about the action, all right? You have to do everything that is required of you and then some, man, because at the end of the day, hey, the time is short that remaineth, man, and we don't know who's going to make it. You don't know who's the elect. And that's why we got to, keep toiling, keep grinding, keep pushing, keep fighting, and doing everything that we can and putting everything on the line, man. All right? Because we want to be able to save ourselves, right? And it says, for if any man be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto man beholding his face in a natural glass, because he beholdeth himself and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was. He had become lost souls. All right, because you made this vow and you thinking that, you all about the Lord, Yahweh Shai, and then you look in the mirror the whole time. You're not upholding to nothing that you're preaching about. You're not upholding to nothing pertaining or that's pretty much in the scriptures, man. All right, you doing your own thing, right? But it says, verse 25, but whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. Yeah, because you don't want this word to go in out one ear and out the other. No, you're supposed to be taking notes. You're supposed to be, applying the things that you learn. Okay, reading and comprehension. You actually understanding why you're doing the things that you're doing. You count the cost, right? You're looking into these things. You're studying, right? Because when you study, you start to get the full understanding of why things are the way that they are, why the things happen, understanding the history, right? And then what? You'll be able to become a teacher, and you can teach the ones and save the ones that may hear you, all right? Because faith cometh by hearing this word, all right? Not being a forgetful hearer. No, don't forget the words of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Remember them. Meditate upon them, okay? Preach them and practice them, man, all right? And it says, and if any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man religion is vain. Yeah, bridleth not his tongue. Meaning you're supposed to control your mouth, man. Be careful what you say, who you say it to, and so on and so forth, man. All right, because life and death is in the power of the tongue. You can speak your own death into existence. All right, you can manifest, spiritual blessing. You can manifest, a lot of positive, energy and vibrations within your life by praying unto Yahweh Shem Yahshai, reading these scriptures, doing the lessons, and so on and so forth, praying for brothers. All right, when you do those certain different things, man, hey, man, it's a beautiful thing. All right, so make sure that you have control over your spirit, right? And it says, verse 27, pure religion and undefiled before the Most High, and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. Yeah, so let's go into the word pure religion. All right, pure, it says clean, it says pure, physically purified by fire, in the similitude like a vine cleansed by pruning and so fitted to bear fruit. In Levitical sense, clean, the use of which is not forbidden, and imparts to no uncleanness. It says ethically free from corrupt desire, from sin and guilt, free from every admixture of what is false, sincere, genuine, blameless, innocent, unstained with the guilt of anything. Yeah, pure religion. All right, man, you have genuine faith, right? Because when you go into the word religion, right, it says religious worship. It says external, which consists of ceremonies, religious, discipline, religion. And when you look at the word religion, right, it says the belief in a worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially a god or gods, right? So it's worshiping. It's an act of service. That's pretty much what a religion is. This is the feeling and expression of reverence, adoration for a deity, reverence, right? So we worship Yahweh Shem Yahshai. So in all actuality, yeah, it's a religion because it's certain conditions and certain things that we have to abide and devote our lives to, like keeping the laws and commandments to the best of our abilities, honoring the name of the Lord, okay, preaching His word, right? That's something that it takes discipline to do. Okay, that takes consistency. That's worshiping. That's acts of service, which in all actuality is what? A religion, all right? But it's also who we are, okay? We're Hebrew Israelites, okay? Hebrew Israelites meaning what? Hebrew is the tongue, and Israelites meaning that we're the lineage, that's the bloodline that comes between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, okay, and the 12 sons of the nation of Israel, okay? We're the descendants of those. That's what makes us an Israelite. All right, Hebrew is just the language that we speak, okay? And we also have, that's our nationality, all right? We have our own land and, certain ways that we conduct ourselves and things of that nature, right? But as far as serving the Lord and doing His work, that's a religion, all right? So with that, that's pretty much James, the first chapter. I didn't think I was going to go through the whole chapter, but, it's all through the Spirit. I pray and hope this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. We give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, HaKodash, and then honors to our apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone. Until the next time, I want to say, Kwam Yasharallah, Mafamubal, and Shalom.